What's up, gents? Back again with another fantasy season. This is your favorite commissioner, David Wilkins, coming to you with our post-draft rankings. Make sure you guys change your team names. Most of your team names still have players from last year's team. It's a whole new year, baby. Shout out to Darrell, our reigning champ. That's all the love you're going to get because guess what? Commissioner's coming back to win his 4th title this year, baby. Let's get it in. At number 1, we have David Alger starting out. Now, Alger missed the playoffs last year for the first time in a while, and he's coming back with a vengeance with the best draft on paper. And this was made clear by ESPN projections that show him scoring 125 points this week, clearly more than any other team. He started out well with pick 7, going with Tyreek Hill, one of the players who can just win you a week with a 40-point outburst on 2 plays. Then he solidified the running back position in round 2 with Tony Pollard, one of the best backs last year, and now Ezekiel Elliott is gone. Tony Pollard to the moon, baby. Let's get it. He went tight end kind of early in round 5 with TJ Hockenson, but TJ Hockenson was tight end number 2 last year. Got traded to a Minnesota team where he's option number 2 right behind Justin Jefferson in a top-tier offense, so he should be a great pickup there. He got his quarterback late, which is always what you want to try to do there. He got Dak Prescott in round 10. Hopefully he has a bounce-back year, stop throwing so many pick sixes, but who knows? It's the Cowboys, boy. Dak's going to fuck up somewhere. Once defenses started to come off the board, he took the second defense in round 11, which wasn't too high for a defense there, and make sure he gets somebody who can really make a difference player at that defense position. He also rounded out the team very well with Jerry Jeudy on the bench, A.J. Dillon, Zay Flowers in case of injury, so I look for him to be a top team all year round. And number 2, we have Zach Birch coming in. He's only been in the league for 2 years, but he's definitely made his mark, making the playoffs in both years, having great teams that could have won. He was picked number 6, so I guess the even teams right in the middle, even though I hate that spot, we're really getting value this year. He started off with the RB1 of the last 2 years at pick 6. Austin Eckler keeps getting disrespected in these drafts. I got him last year at like pick 10. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Always taking McCaffrey, who's going to get injured. Austin Eckler leads the league in touchdowns last 2 years in that running back position. Great pickup there. Then he followed that up right after with A.J. Brown, another top-tier wide receiver, solidified that wide receiver spot. And in the 5th round, he got Justin Fields, who I think will be quarterback 1. He's following the same progression to me in my eyes of a Jalen Hurts or a Josh Allen, who gets that number 1 solidified receiver, still has that running option. He probably will be the quarterback 1 at the end of the year in my eye. And then he also got Kenny Walker in the 6th. Great pickup there to get a starting running back, really the only option for the Seahawks in my eyes at that running back position. And I don't even know what I was thinking. He was still there, and I took Terry McLaurin over him. I must be crazy. And then his best pick to me was in round 13. He snagged Eli Mitchell, who will still get carries even with Christian McCaffrey there. And with McCaffrey's injury history, Eli Mitchell will be an RB1 if McCaffrey does get hurt for the year. Number 3, well, whoever thought I would put this guy in the top of the draft list, but the reigning shit player every year, Alex, I think had the best, 3rd best draft out of everybody in the league. But sometimes he really does draft well. He just screws it up trading all his best players away. He was picked 10 right before me, and he went CeeDee Lamb in round 1, and then Garrett Wilson in round 2. Definitely solidifying his wide receiver room. Wilson should ball out this year with A-Rod as his quarterback. His next 2 picks were Etienne and Burrow. I thought Burrow was a little early in round 4, especially with the injury, and another quarterback didn't get picked up until 12 picks after that, and it was Justin Fields, who I just got done talking about. I think will be number 1 in fantasy, so I think he could have waited a little bit there, but Burrow is also a quarterback you can't pass up. He got Khalil Herbert in the 7th, and as long as the Bears don't really get any additional running backs, I think that's a great pickup for him. Jamison Williams in the round 11 is gold to me. I think he'll take away a lot of targets from Ross St. Brown, and Williams really will put up, to me, wide receiver 2 numbers at the least in that Detroit team, who looks to be really competitive this year. And he's only gets suspended for about 3 games, and he'll be right back to get put right into that spot. And it gives Alex the ability to have some additional trade power to try to get somebody else on his team as well, fix any of his spots that he has any holes in. But Alex's team does have a lot of boomer bust players. He also took like OBJ. He took Dalvin Cook, players like that who could have great years, but they also have other receivers or injury concerns that could keep Alex right at his typical spot, which is at the end. And number 4, we have last year's champ Darrell coming in. Now, this spot's a little shaky a little bit because he did take Cooper Kupp with the 4th pick of the draft, and already Cooper Kupp looks like he's headed to IR. His hamstring does not look like it's setting up. But if he does play, you know, Cooper Kupp is a good 25 to 30 points a game. One of the best players fantasy has ever had. So if he does get healthy at any point in the season, especially once the playoffs start, I definitely look for Darrell's team to be top tier. Now, even though I did say I don't like taking quarterbacks in early rounds, it's okay when they're a true stud. So he went Josh Allen in round 2 because Mahomes and Jackson were already off the board. He didn't want to be out without a top 3 quarterback. So he took Josh Allen early, which I think is definitely good. Josh Allen has been a top 3 quarterback the last 4 or 5 years in fantasy. I don't see any reason why he won't be that way again. He also got Josh Jacobs late in round 2. And that was after Najee Harris. Somehow, Najee Harris got taken before him. Great pickup for him to get him that late in round 2. And Josh Jacobs ended his holdout, so he, again, is RB1. They have Jimmy G there. Quarterback should be stable. Still have Devontae Adams. Definitely look for Darrell to be a top-tier team. He got James Conner late as well. Maybe a question with the Cards, probably tanking hard for the future, but I think James Conner will still get that volume that'll really prove great for Darrell's team to pan out. And then last but not least, my favorite person on this list, we have Ty coming in somehow in the draft rankings when Ty didn't even actually draft his team. His team name is still Auto Draft Me, please, because the last time he auto drafted, he actually won the championship somehow. So last year he actually drafted himself. He said, screw it, I'm going back to that same strategy this year. And it seemed to work out. He had pick number 3, and his first auto draft pick was Jamar Chase. He's really my favorite to be the wide receiver 1 for the whole year. I think he'll beat out Justin Jefferson for that honor this year, and he just looks poised to take over that piece. Then the CPU right after that gave him Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf. He definitely has the best receiver room in all of the league. And then the QB, the computer did sell him a little bit at those running back options, but there's still people who are pretty much the number ones at their team. He has Dameon Pierce from Houston. Houston looks to be a better team. They probably won't, though. And then we also have Rachaad White, who looks like the starter in Tampa, but they look like they're going to be a big running back committee like most of these teams. So he may end up losing that job or not being as good as he thought. He did get Kittle in the 6th round, who is still elite at that position when he does play. He got Watson in the 7th round, which is a good value at quarterback if Watson can get back to anything like he was the previous years before. He also got Sutton in the 9th round and Russ in the 2nd to last round, round 14. If Sean Payton can turn around that offense, if Russ can get back to what Russ was doing, and with Jerry Jeudy out the first years, they can get that rapport going, Sutton could be a sneaky pick there. And in case Deshaun Watson doesn't pan out, if Russ does pick his stuff up, Ty has another quarterback right there who can fill that role. Honorable mentions, none. Everybody else's teams suck, even mine. Make some damn trades. Let's get this shit going. Now we'll go over the best draft picks. Best draft picks, number 1, I like George. George got Rasheem Mostert in round 15. And while that was maybe an okay pick, that's still Miami's starting running back unless they make a signing. And then right after the draft, we got news that Jeff Wilson is going on IR for 4 weeks. So that helps him solidify his RB2 position, which was weak as hell from his draft because his draft sucked. We also have Zach, like I mentioned earlier. I love getting Eli Mitchell in round 13. Chris McCaffrey always gets hurt. He didn't get hurt last year. Money's on he's probably going to get hurt this year, unfortunately. So having an Eli Mitchell that late is perfect. Again, something I already mentioned, Alex Jameson Williams, round 11. Still think he's going to be a top 30 receiver easily, even with missing 3 games. And getting him in round 11 just gives Alex so many options to move around and be able to do things with. Also, Alger, Dak round 10, like I said earlier, with all the reaches we had on quarterbacks this year in the draft, getting Dak round 10 is perfect. Be able to fill all those other skills positions, everything else out, and still get maybe a top 5 quarterback. What else could you ask for? He also got Jerry Jeudy in round 7. So after that injury, Jerry Jeudy should be the number 1 receiver for the Broncos. For the worst draft picks, we got Andre. He took JT round 2. Now, it would have been good if the contract situation like Josh Jacobs was already handled. It wasn't, and now he's on IR for 4 weeks. Who knows if they'll even play him if they're terrible? Maybe they start tanking and they don't even want to put him in and mess with the chemistry of the team at that point and let other people develop. We also have Mac, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Steelers homer. He took Najee Harris. Najee Harris is a good running back, but with Josh Jacobs, the number 1 running back of last year, still sitting there, how do you take Najee Harris over him? And then I also put myself on this list. I took Alvin Kamara in round 4. I think I was just shook up, had a plan in place. Nick picked after me. He took Andrews and Hurts. I was going to take the one of the those that he didn't take, but since he took both, I didn't want to reach on tight end and Kittle that early in round 4. So I said, screw it, let me take the suspended Kamara. Kamara hasn't been himself lately in fantasy, though, so hopefully with a new quarterback, new system, Michael Thomas may be back if he's healthy. Maybe Kamara can get back to himself, but if Kamara does get hurt or something, I did also snag Jamal Williams late to make that pick a little bit better for myself. And the last but not least, the best matchup for week 1, we have number 1 Alger going against number 5 Ty, Mr. Auto Draft himself. ESPN has this matchup as a barn burner. 125.7 for Alger, 123.6 for Ty. The line's only 2.1 points. Alger has the advantage in 5 spots. Ty has the advantage in 4s. But, man, fuck ESPN rankings. Let's think about my rankings, baby. I like to see it. I think Alger takes this in a landslide. Dak is going to ball against the Giants. He always balls against the Giants. He doesn't lose to them. Look it up. So I like Dak with 3 touchdowns. I think Tony Pollard is going to catch one of those touchdowns and have a rushing touchdown. So that'll be double points for Dak and Tony Pollard if he catches a touchdown. I think Tyreek's going to go for 30, put on a show in a high shootout game against the Chargers. I think Devontae Smith is going to score versus the Pats, and Daniel Carlson is going to knock at least 2 50-yard field goals. I got Alger at 157.8 to Ty at 102.4, baby. And that's it for our fantasy rankings this year. Look forward to having some great discussions with y'all all year. Have a good one. Commissioner out, bitch. Fucking niggas, y'all gonna lose, motherfucker.